Stu Journalism and the New Brunswick Beacon present The Basement Files.
Hi, I'm Justin Marshall.
And I'm Whitney Nielsen.
Welcome to this edition of The Basement Files. We're here at the Aiken University Center where March 22nd to 25th we're hosting the CIS Cavendish University Cup presented by the Home Depot. This is the national championship for men's hockey, and the UNB Varsity Reds from Fredericton, New Brunswick won it last year, and they're #1 in the country this year, and they're expected to win it again.
Our top stories are:
what are stoners really like?
We have a report on the Miramichi job market.
And genetically modified food. The Conservative crime bill has been breezing its way through Parliament. There's mandatory minimum sentencing for marijuana offenses. But some Canadians don't really want this. Samantha Both has the story.
Hear that? It's a bong brewing up some milky, white marijuana smoke. The bubbling of bong water is a common sound in a stoner's life. Now let me introduce you to a few people. This is Jordan Osborne. This is Christina Wilson. And this is Matthew Mason. They all have different stories, but they all have one thing in common: marijuana, and living with the stigma that comes along with it. They're what people commonly refer to as stoners or potheads. They all smoke for different reasons, but one thing is clear: they love it and they don't plan on stopping. Let's take a step into Jordan Osborne's world. He's a student at the Center for Arts and Technology studying 3D animation and a talented artist. He uses marijuana as a source for motivation.
I did a Hamlet dude deflecting a ninja. I told you I didn't know where this freaking picture was going.
He smokes weed every day, both for fun and to deal with his anxiety.
You know, I've always been told, oh, have you ever thought of prescriptions? Like, no. I find dope much more easy to handle, much more easier just to, distribute yourself. There's no ill effects, long-term or short-term, besides, my short-term memory, tell you the truth, sorry.
Osborne sees marijuana as a healthy alternative to drinking. Alcoholism runs in his family, and after witnessing his father's drinking problem firsthand, he decided marijuana was a better option. His father says he's 15 years sober, but still smokes weed.
He absolutely does. This is the only thing that he says, well, they can take away my beer, but I am taking a toke every night.
So he found alcohol more detrimental than he did
Absolutely,
marijuana?
100%. He was in, I've seen the worst of alcohol addiction and what it can do to the mind and body, and I'm blood related to alcoholism, so it's definitely present in me. But I try to use dope more as a good healthy buffer to get thoughts and feelings out of the way, because a lot of people use cigarettes, that gives them cancer. Other people drink their sorrows away, that fucking leads to cirrhosis. So what else is there to what else is there to do besides, dope?
He's been labeled a stoner often. A few years ago, he went to the hospital because he was having a severe anxiety attack. The hospital staff asked him to fill out a questionnaire. When he saw the doctor immediately began asking him questions.
The conduct of these interviews were like, okay, do you smoke dope? And that was one of the first 3 questions, like, yes, I do. How often? At least once a day. Oh, well, and I knew right then that they were judging me right there, and I was like, wow.
Despite some poor treatment from time to time, Osborne doesn't mind being labeled a stoner, because that's just who he is.
That's a bong toke.
But he has a message for people like Stephen Harper, who is pushing a tough on marijuana platform.
How about you just ease off?
Of course, Osborne isn't alone. Canada is the world leader in per capita use of marijuana. People who don't smoke need to educate themselves about the drug before judging potheads. At least, that's what Randy McKean says.
I think there's a stigma attached by people unwilling to educate themselves. And so, people who understand the drug understand that it's nobody has proven it to be more harmful. In fact, there's a lot of evidence that it's less harmful than drugs like tobacco, nicotine, or alcohol.
But it appears as though people have been educating themselves. A recent poll by Toronto-based Forum Research Inc. shows that 66% of Canadians favor legalization, slightly more in Atlantic Canada. Quebec showed the lowest support, 61%. Only 11% of Canadians wanted tougher punishment. Another 20% thought the law should stay the same. The Liberals recently added legalization to their platform. The NDP also officially endorses decriminalization and legalization. Politicians are hypocritical when it comes to weed. At least that's what Dominic Carty says.
I haven't seen a lot of evidence that it's very harmful. I've been around politics for a long time, know a lot of people in politics who happily use marijuana, even at fairly high levels, and doesn't seem to have caused any huge problems in Canada, although I guess we did elect a Conservative government.
McKean agrees, and simply doesn't understand why the drug is still illegal.
To me, it's so obvious, it's such a no-brainer, and so many great minds have agreed that I just don't get it. I don't get why hypocritical politicians, many of whom are my generation, so I'm going to say a good chunk of them have smoked marijuana and inhaled and know in their heart that this is a benign substance for the most part. They need to show some intestinal fortitude and make the change, and it'll pay off. I guarantee whatever party decides that they're going to legalize this, they're going to reap the benefits.
Matthew Mason definitely doesn't think there are any negative side effects. When he was 15 years old, he was diagnosed with Crohn's disease. He started smoking weed to help deal with the symptoms.
But sometimes I'm not that hungry and I get a good appetite when I smoke weed, so that's good. I actually eat a lot, so.
Like Osborne, he doesn't mind being labeled a stoner and is upfront about it.
I got interviewed at Dairy Queen. He said, he's like, everyone has their thing, drinking, smoking weed, anything. He's like, my thing's poker. He's completely chill about it and accepted it.
He has a full-time job and he's a talented musician, and he simply doesn't care what other people think.
Stoners aren't robbers or killers or anything. I mean, we're calm people, we're passive-aggressive. We'll probably cause less damage than other people who aren't high. So, I don't think it's fair. It's all backwards.
Carty says we should study the effects of marijuana. Because it's an illegal substance, researchers have to go through a legal maze to study the drug.
There's not a lot of evidence. I mean, we need to start to collect evidence about the actual health effects of marijuana, which is much more easily done if we can have it decriminalized, and then those studies can be done without worry of legal consequences.
Every level also saves civilians.
Christina Wilson isn't as open about her smoking. She smokes every day, but she doesn't fit the description of a stoner. She goes to school at the Renaissance College here in Fredericton, a 3-year leadership and philosophy program. She's got a part-time job, she's a leader for Girl Guides, and she's a representative for the Renaissance School community. As part of her program, she will be interning at a summer camp for disabled people. Camp He Ho Ha, dedicated to health, hope, and happiness. Like most potheads, though, she's been judged by people for her marijuana use.
They just kind of look at you differently. They kind of maybe find themselves superior sometimes.
But she doesn't think it's a big problem if you use it properly.
A lot of people get very unmotivated when they smoke, so I think that's the biggest problem in society, is that a lot of people see pot smokers as being lazy, as not doing much. But it can be the complete opposite. If you're able to control yourself and to still be productive while smoking, I don't see a problem with it.
She says she makes sure to balance her priorities with her smoking. She thinks people who can't handle themselves and remain productive while smoking simply shouldn't smoke. McKean agrees and says it's people who abuse the drug that should be dealt with, rather than making the drug completely illegal.
That was a big one.
With the Liberals and NDP officially endorsing marijuana legalization, a stoner's dream come true may be just around the corner. But regardless of the legal issue, a pothead leaves us with this advice.
Smoke weed every day!
For Stu Journalism, I'm Samantha Both.
St. Patrick's Day brought with it all kinds of fun and festivities, but a young man in Sussex is saying it also brought police brutality. The 19-year-old man was allegedly tased 4 times. When he was sitting in a police car, they tried to shut the door, but when he refused, that's when he was allegedly tased. A witness says the man was drunk, but otherwise cooperating. He says he doesn't understand why he was arrested. While he was drinking, he was just standing on the sidewalk when police approached him. Action has yet to be taken, but is soon expected. Keep watching for these stories in the weeks ahead.
Thousands of students in Fredericton are finishing school and moving into the workforce, many without the valuable job skills that they need to impress employers. Some are turning to internships to learn these skills, but they don't always pay, which can be hard for someone with loans and school fees to worry about. Some students are finding opportunities that help them earn a living.
They give me money. That's about it. I mean, I'm doing the exact same sort of stuff that I was doing during my internship, but now I get paid for it.
Just how valuable is an internship? Are prospective employers enjoying too much free labor? Find out on next week's Basement Tapes. Internships, a foot in the door to a future career.
I am Macedonia Koutsoumelou. First they were angry and fought against austerity measures. Now they leave Greece because they can't fight poverty and unemployment.
Εάν μέναμε στην Ελλάδα αυτά τα 2 χρόνια δεν νομίζω ότι θα μπορούσαμε να ανταποκριθούμε.
Is Canada a destination for Greeks in search of a better future? A new journey has begun and it touches on the local Greek communities, soon on the Basement Files.
St. Thomas University held their annual Research and Ideas Fair over the weekend. Students shared their ideas and research with fellow students and faculty. Frank Molly has more on the story.
Yes, that's right. Today was the 2012 Student Research and Ideas Fair held here at Sir James Dunn. Things opened up this morning from 9 a.m. They're currently having lunch right now. But let's take a look at other activities that went on this morning regarding their students' involvement on their research and the fair itself.
The 2012 Student Research and Ideas Fair had over 25 students delivering research presentations in 7 academic fields. Categories included philosophy and ethics, media constructs, politics and the economy, art and literature, philosophy and ethics, culture and technology, social issues and politics, and personality and intelligence. Each student was assisted in the research by faculty mentors, which led up to this year's fair. The event took place in the lower half of James Dunn, with students and faculty observing presentations held in various classrooms. Moderators were on hand to help facilitate and keep time of each presenter, and to assist in question periods that followed. I spoke with several students and found out what they liked best about being a participant in this year's fair.
It's really interesting. It makes you think about things that you haven't necessarily thought about in your own research or in your own presentation yet. And there's a nice varying of general topics. So it was really enlightening.
As positive and enlightening the experience was, 4th-year student Michael Freyes took his presentation to another level by literally dressing up for the occasion.
This idea of coming in costume just came to me out of nowhere, and I was told I'd have to do it here in costume, but I love that I've been to a few of the sessions. I love how it's given students a chance to just present their research. There's no real format. You don't have to follow anything. Just be yourself, come out and say what you have to say, present your ideas. I've seen some videos, some presentations. I loved coming out here and just getting to do what I want to do.
Fairs like this help also to improve the student experience, as described by University of St. Thomas from Houston, Texas, Tyler Roundtree.
I think the greatest thing about research fairs at the undergraduate level and even graduate level is that it provides an avenue for a student to take something that's raw, take their idea and present it and get feedback on it, so that way they can better refine their idea and concept. So that way everyone improves.
Getting involved was no easy task. For Michelle Boutelier, this is her 2nd year participating in the event, and she appreciates what the research fair does for the students.
I think it's a good experience for us to go out and present to other people and get used to presenting academic material. And I also think it's a good experience for students that come to see it, so that maybe they might be interested in presenting their own research another year.
For Stu Journalism, I'm Frank Molly.
For the past 5 years, Miramichi's population has been declining. But with one of the city's biggest lumber mills reopening, people are starting to gain optimism. Tyler Lyons has more on the story.
Welcome to the city of Miramichi. It's a small town with a population of 17,000 and dropping. This is because, like many small cities in the Maritimes, Miramichi has very little work available. This has many people moving their families out west to find jobs. All hope is not lost for the city, however. After shutting down 5 years earlier, one of the city's main timber mills is reopening its doors for business. The mill was originally owned by Weyerhaeuser Pulp and Paper, but just this year, the facility has been bought by Quebec company Arbeck Forest Products. Jeff McTavish is the head of economic development for Miramichi. Having worked the mills himself, he says the mill reopening is great news for the city.
A lot of the people that the Miramichi lost are very skilled. They're either operators of machinery or they were, tradesmen of some sort. This facility is going to require operators for machinery just like it did before. And there was about 120 or 130 positions that were lost when the mill closed the last time. So to be able to get those folks back here, if there's an interest there, would be a great boost to us.
But McTavish knows firsthand that the timber industry isn't the most stable one to work in. He's seen the mills around the city open and close multiple times. According to him, it's because of the market.
The industry is very cyclical. There's ups and downs. When the housing market's booming, they're producing, and when it's dropping, mills are shutting down. That's the nature of the forestry industry.
There's no doubt that reopening the mill will bring jobs back to the region. The question is, will these jobs be sustainable? For some people, this will be the third time in their lifetimes they've seen the mill open and close in the span of 5 to 10 years. Thus leads to the question, can people even afford to raise families here anymore? Or does something need to change? McTavish says the future of the city lies in new media jobs.
One of the focuses of the city of Miramichi is on the creative technology side of things, and that is really a young industry. It brings young people in, it brings creative minds in, and that's one of the things, not to say that people in Miramichi aren't creative, but one of the things that is pulling them away is that we don't have those types of jobs available here in Miramichi.
Gene Fowler is the founder of Luguru, an animation and game development studio in Miramichi. Fowler was the creator of Fat Cat Studios, an animation company that worked on big-ticket shows like Family Guy and Arthur. Now in a smaller setting, his new company is focusing on small game development and animation. The work his studio does is the exact kind the city is hoping to gain more of.
That's hard, man. Like, how do you start a company in a business, in a place where there's no creative community? It used to be, it's building up again. When you don't know if the government's going to support you from year to year. Tough. So I can see it growing, but there has to be a reason to be here.
To aid these creative technology businesses in developing Miramichi, the city is offering its own tax credit to businesses starting up. Fowler says that this is a great way to draw in business.
It's like a basic added incentive from the city to bring your shop here instead of anywhere else in the province. So it's like a tax credit inside of a tax credit. So if you bring it to New Brunswick, sure, you get 30 cents on the dollar. If you bring it to Miramichi, you get 35. If it works, man, it'd be the smartest move in the country.
Another factor is New Brunswick Community College's animation and video game design program. Sometimes referred to as one of the city's best-kept secrets, NBCC could offer many young and talented graduating students to these businesses as easy hiring.
In 2007, we needed to hire like 60 people, right? And we got 30 of them from the college. As soon as they graduated, we just plucked them out. Knowing people and their personalities is huge. And having them in our backyard, massive.
Meet Caleb McDonald. Caleb is in his final year of the game design program at NBCC. He says that while it can be difficult to break into the video game industry, the program does its best to prepare them.
I think they do a really good job of preparing people for looking for work. Like, we have an entire course, entire class dedicated for preparing for interviews or preparing for what it's like in a team environment in game development. So yeah, I think they prepare you pretty well.
The city's demand for new media is not limited to video games and animation. Tracy Robinson, better known by his nickname Chopper, is one of the creators of the website Miramichi Online. The site acts as a community board, news hub, and online promoter for all events and happenings in the city. He says that the promotional and media work they do is a booming business, but requires creativity.
Obviously, YouTube is a phenomenon, worldwide phenomenon, and you can be on the same scale marketing-wise as any marketing giant or giant corporation. So we saw an avenue where we could promote Miramichi, events in Miramichi, things happening in Miramichi, institutions, what have you, on a worldwide scale. And, you know, for the most part, we've done exactly that. Over 250,000 people have watched our videos, and of course, I run into people here all the time on the river that have seen them, and they love them and enjoy them, and they run into people all over the country and the world email me saying, you know, geez, I miss home, I wish I was there, or, you know, geez, Miramichi looks like a great place to live. And I've actually had people come up to me and say, geez, you know, I saw these episodes online, and, you know, I bought a camp upriver, and we love it here. You know, what a great spot Miramichi is, and, you know, truly it is.
Apart from promoting the city, Miramichi Online also takes contract jobs from clients looking to promote themselves online.
We are pretty diverse here. We do, you know, video, and we do photography, and we do websites, and we do databases, and, you know, sky's the limit. But my role here is, like, I work with companies and help them market themselves online, either whether it be social media management for them, or show them how to do it themselves. Really, you know, making sure that they're taking advantage of every aspect of the new media to help them in their business and their events. Yeah.
Robinson and Gene Fowler both agree that social networking is one of the most important factors while working in new media.
It's everywhere, and for as long as it keeps on evolving its way into the human condition or into the human behavior, it will become part of our routine, as it already has. People don't venture out in their neighborhoods anymore. Why? Because they got Facebook. Facebook is your neighborhood. Facebook, when you go on Facebook, you're walking around your neighborhood.
When we started back in 2010, locally, people weren't really using the Facebook and YouTube, and that was only 2 years ago. Now it's everywhere. If you're not there, you're in outer space somewhere, right? So we really brought it forward, and really showed local business and local community leaders what it can do for any avenue. You know, it could really boost sales. It could boost people knowing about your event, or, you know, any kind of promotion locally. And it not only does it promote locally, it promotes on an international level. So it's really huge.
For the city of Miramichi, this boom in the new creative job market could be exactly what it needs to boost the economy. The Goliath that was once the milling industry could now play David to new media. For Stu Journalism, I'm Tyler Lyons.
Science has been altering our food for years, sometimes moving too fast for regulations to keep up. Some genetically modified food is now sold in stores, but as it becomes more common, it also becomes more controversial. Alicia Bosch has the story.
With an increasing world population, scientists are looking at ways of increasing food production. For some, that includes genetic modification. However, some people aren't comfortable with scientists altering what nature originally created. Leah Anstis is the local foods coordinator for the Conservation Council of New Brunswick. Her job is to encourage people to eat locally and organically. She believes the best food is already available naturally.
As far as a genetically modified food, I just don't feel good at the thought of eating something that might have cross genes with something else. It's the whole Frankenfood concept of what I want to put in my body.
Anstis operates a local food directory at the Conservation Council of New Brunswick. It refers people to businesses that sell local food. Anstis believes it's important to support small businesses and worries about genetically modified crops contaminating nearby organic farms.
Even though that organic farmer is trying to maintain, the identity of the seed that they're growing, and it becomes a huge conflict. Plus, the genetically engineered version, a lot of time, because there's rights over seeds, that organic farmer could actually be sued as using a seed corporation's seeds, when really it's just contamination.
Anstis says there's enough food produced in the world to feed the population. The main problem is that the food isn't distributed properly, or is wasted in areas where there's too much. She doesn't think altering food to increase production is the answer. She questions the sustainability of it in the long run.
It's a relatively new concept. I mean, it has different things that have been going on in laboratories for years, but what about the long-term effects? What about the long-term effects on our food supply? Is it sustainable? Meaning, it might feed us now, but years to come, what's going to happen then? what's going to happen with the world is uncertain as far as gas prices, oil prices. All of these affect different things, which can really affect different food supplies getting to where they need to go. So I mean, to me it makes sense to get back to our roots, farm organically, get back to the basics, use basic seeds and seed saving principles, and it just not to play around with our food system.
Genetic modification goes beyond just produce. Fish are being looked at as well. I spoke with Tillman Benfey, a fish biologist at the University of New Brunswick, who worked on developing some genetically modified salmon. Benfey's main role in the project was making sure the fish were sterile, using a special machine to treat the eggs. This was done to take care of worries that they could breed with wild fish stocks if they escaped. Sterile fish also produce better quality meat.
It's a very simple genetic manipulation. So we make fish that are triploid. They have 3 sets of chromosomes. Okay. And we do that by subjecting the eggs to high pressure treatment right after fertilization. So they retain a set of chromosomes that would normally be lost right after fertilization. There's no DNA or chromosomes from another species. It's just retaining a set of chromosomes from the egg.
Benfey thinks many people are against genetic modification because it's a new process. He says it's simply a sped-up version of selective crossbreeding, something people have been doing for thousands of years.
It's important to improve aquaculture production because we really need aquaculture to give us aquatic foods. We've over-harvested pretty much all of the wild fisheries, and we have a growing human population and a wealthier human population, so there's growing demand for seafood, and the ocean simply can't provide that anymore. So aquaculture is really the only solution. We're sort of going through a transition from hunting and gathering wild seafood to farming seafood. That's a male, we can tell by the coloration. What's getting all the press now is genetically modified fish that grows faster than normal fish. And they do that because they have they're Atlantic salmon that have a gene from a different species of salmon in them, and also a gene from another different species of fish that promotes the continuous production of that growth hormone gene from another salmon species. So those are what we call genetically modified fish.
While these fish are not being sold in stores, many processed foods that have been altered are. Katrin McPhee thinks there's a lack of information available to the public about these new foods.
Well, it just seems like it's an entirely different scale and that these foods are being introduced at a really rapid level without consumer awareness. And I suppose it seems just like the science isn't being regulated as it maybe should be. I think that's why a lot of countries like France have banned GMOs, because there's concern about just the unknown effects that the technology might have. I don't go out of my way to avoid eating it, mostly because I'm not really aware of what genetically modified organisms are in the food that I might consume every day. I think in general, if we're not sure how technology will affect either us or, crops through cross-pollination or something, that we should exercise caution and that it should probably be carefully regulated.
With more and more genetically modified food making its way onto our dinner tables and into our kitchens, some people are finding the change hard to digest. For Stew Journalism, I'm Alicia Bosch.
The local metal scene has been heating up lately. Okay. The local metal scene has been heating up lately. The band Cryo Crisis has been a big part of this, and they're looking to reach the national stage. Samantha Both has more on the story.
What you're hearing right now is the music of local metal band Cryo Crisis. If the name sounds familiar, it's because they've been quickly climbing to the top of the local metal scene. The 6-member band includes 3 guitarists, Aaron Malley, Rob McFarlane, and Theo Levi, who also plays some synth. Mike Hashey is the lone bassist, Michael Lane is the drummer, and Jason McKnight rocks vocals. They frequently do shows at the Capitol and F Studio, but they're hoping to expand their fan base. They're in an online competition to win a place on the Vans Warped Tour, an annual international music and sports tour showcasing hundreds of bands. Winning the competition would not only land them a spot on the tour that attracts over 45,000 fans at some venues, but would also secure them with $10,000 in gear and a professional recording for an EP. Of course, the band isn't waiting to see if they win to record an EP. They've got one in the works right now called Training the Moths. It should be released soon, and the guys are excited for the fan reaction, which has been great so far.
Most of our fans come from coming out to see our show. There's not too many that have just stumbled on our music and have just liked our page. They've came out to our show and enjoyed what they've seen, and then they just want to see more.
Although most of them are students, they take music seriously and devote most of their time to improving their sound. 2 members are sound engineers. They say their devotion to music is why they deserve to win.
We're all a bunch of goofballs.
Yeah.
But like when it comes to music, we take it serious because we do love our music, and we take playing and we take the business side of it pretty serious, but we know when to not take ourselves too seriously. We know when there's time to be serious and when, like, musician serious, and then there's
time to have fun.
They use social media to draw support and get votes in the competition. They're doing well in the competition, but they understand their chances in a national competition aren't the best. But they remain positive and say they will keep trying in the years to come. Of course, they'd be more than happy if they won.
I'd be pretty ecstatic for sure.
I mean, I'd poop my friggin' pants.
Yeah.
That would be so crazy. Like, I wouldn't believe it at first.
Yeah, for sure.
Aaron would burst into my room and he'd tell me, and I'd be like,
that's exactly how it would go.
You're lying to me. That's not true.
Yeah.
But then, I don't know, like, it would be too good to be true. It would be so awesome.
The band recently went on their first out-of-province tour, traveling to Yarmouth for the Winter Meltdown and Halifax, where they played at Gus's Pub.
We actually had a kid come up to us, which was just pretty surreal. He's like, "You guys are like the best band in the Maritimes, or like that I've seen."
Yeah.
And we were just like, "Whoa!"
We were floored. We were like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, like, is this happening?
Their next tour will see them playing 9 shows in 9 days, and will take them to Montreal and Quebec City. And the signs seem to show that they won't stop there. For Stu Journalism, I'm Samantha Both.
That's it for this edition.
Thanks for watching, and see you next time.